think you're a jerk.
You should be embarrassed. Excuse me.
Kitchen nightmares saved many restaurants, but for some owners, it was a one-way ticket to disaster. Exposed, humiliated, and career in shambles, did they bounce back or vanish for good? Let's find out.
Is he the great cook? No, I was voted best chef in Conejo Valley.
Let's kick this off with a fun question. Who would you put your money on? A clueless owner, a bossy yet inexperienced one, or the fiery know-it-all?
I'll be talking to the customers, flirting with the ladies, and asking about the food in between.
Drop your bets in the comments because things are about to get really interesting. Buckle up for some owner madness. For those who betted on the clueless owner, well prepared to be surprised because this owner did not just think she knew the best, but she was proud of it too, in the most weird way.
Hemet, an ambitious 23-year-old, fresh out of USC Business School, bought a restaurant called Lido D Manhattan.
She really thought she had everyone shocked, like, wow, a 23-year-old running a restaurant and a woman too? Unbelievable. But let's be real, no one was that impressed. If anything, they were just a little judgmental. The customers? They assumed exactly what you'd expect.
That my parents gave it to me, or I married somebody that gave it to me. It was just frustrating, but at the same time, I know the truth.
She really should have seen it coming. When Ramsey first walked into that restaurant and met her, he was definitely caught off guard, but not in the flattering way she probably imagined. Let's just say it wasn't a pleasant surprise.
Nice to see you. You're the
Owner.
You're the owner.
Yeah?
So just very quickly, you've owned business for how long?
I've been here for 5 years.
And the moment he asked her age, the real bomb dropped. Ramsey's confusion hit an all-time high. He just couldn't process it.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
28.
28. So you got it when you were 23.
23. Yeah.
How did you manage to get a restaurant at 23?
I was just determined.
Owning a restaurant at 23 is wild, but she wore it like a badge of honor, claiming it was her post-college destiny. Then Ramsey hit her with a brutal question, but her answer, that was the real jaw-dropper.
You graduated from where?
USC, Marshall School Business.
Yeah. What was that, a graduation present?
No, Dad didn't buy me a restaurant. Dad co-signed on a loan for me.
Yup, because co-signing the loan and buying it are totally two different things, right? But you know what? I'd be that confident too if I had a fancy degree and jumped straight into business. But while she believed in herself, her staff, let's just say their enthusiasm didn't exactly match hers.
Lisa did not, at that time, have the experience to run a full restaurant, in my opinion.
I think we should separate them.
And it wasn't just her staff. Viewers were just as baffled. Sure, she had a business degree, but guess what? That does not magically translate to hotel and restaurant management. What did she actually do? Woke up one morning and thought, hey, I have a business degree, running a restaurant should be a breeze. Spoiler, it was not. The real kicker? Throughout her entire education, she never once stopped to think, wait, isn't this one of the hardest businesses to run? Like, seriously? The signs were all there, flashing in neon, and yet she still walked straight into disaster. But thankfully, Lisa's staff knew better. The restaurant was only standing because of them. Sure, she had the brains, but zero experience and even less motivation. Smart? Maybe? Hardworking? Absolutely not. And here's Exhibit A.
What experience with your restaurant? I don't want to hear complaints. I don't want to hear shit. I just want to hang out. If you see a wine key,
She leaned on her staff so much, they weren't just employees anymore. They were her personal advisors, emotional support system, and maybe even babysitters at this point. But there was one person she relied on a little too much.
Damien is bar manager and someone that I have been kind of dating in the last 6 months.
Yup, she was dating the bar manager. And this guy? Oh, he did everything for her full-on royal treatment, like she was running a fairy tale, not a restaurant. But mixing romance with business? Yeah, that was a recipe for disaster waiting to happen.
No.
Give me these. Just relax.
I kind of crossed this fuzzy line where I'm having him work here. It's probably a bad idea.
She knew she was in over her head, but her love life seemed to take priority over the restaurant. With Damien practically running the place, Ramsey walked in and instantly spotted the disaster waiting to unfold.
Lisa is a lovely boss, yes.
Lovely boss. Sometimes when they refer to the boss as being lovely, it sounds like it's an intimate lovely.
This bar owner was all about love, hugs, and keeping things warm and fuzzy with the staff. Did that help her run a business? Not exactly, but does ruling with an iron fist work either? Nope, and we've got just the person to prove it.
Stuff that's in there.
When I lose my temper, it's time for you to run.
You told me already earlier you were gonna compete and they have to leave.
Meet Michel, the self-proclaimed culinary genius of the Secret Garden. In his mind, he was a 5-star chef, but in reality, his restaurant was barely hanging on. His temper didn't help, and according to the servers, there was another big issue.
He's French. That's his biggest problem. He's French.
So you're gonna have to excuse my arrogance.
Well, yeah, that was probably the issue, and judging by the comments, it seemed like all of Europe agreed. But his anger? Totally unjustified. Sure, the French have every right to be proud of their food, but pride has a funny way of turning into arrogance, exactly what was about to unfold here. And if you ask me, it's not just a French thing, chefs in general have their own brand of arrogance. I mean, who actually enjoys having their art torn apart? But Michel? Oh, he took that to a whole new level.
Michelle can be very, very difficult to work with.
Jane,
Michelle?
serve that. That cannot sit.
His ego was basically the size of France, and his voice? Let's just say it wasn't exactly a soothing French melody. Being around him felt like tiptoeing on the edge of a cliff.
As soon as it's ready. Come on, I need that too. Let's fix it. No. I'm getting frustrated.
If you think someone with this attitude could survive in the brutal restaurant industry, think again. Sure, he bossed his staff around, but the real shocker? The actual state of the restaurant. You won't believe the disaster Ramsey walked into.
And you've been running the restaurant for 7 years?
7 years, yes.
God, and how long has it been quiet for?
7 years.
Oh, and hearing him drop the run for your life line was peak cringe. Viewers practically got secondhand embarrassment. Intimidating? Not even close. And let's just hope he doesn't try that tough guy act in front of Gordon, because guess what? Gordon isn't the one running. If anything, he'd hit him with the ultimate Uno reverse card. Calm, collected, but absolutely brutal. It's honestly hilarious how Gordon manages to stay composed while simultaneously ripping someone apart. Now, that's real intimidation, and this guy wouldn't stand a chance.
Michel definitely does not respond to criticism. He likes to be the man.
You seem proud of that food.
Ramsey was locked, loaded, and ready to light Michel up. Was it the best idea? Maybe not. Was it absolutely necessary? Oh, 100%. And sous chef Devin? He already knew this was about to be a full-blown disaster.
I thought your food was crap. Tasteless, bizarre. Your food was long-winded, boring, and just, badly done.
Before we dive into the many ways Michel managed to disappoint Ramsey, let's take a quick look at the aftermath, just so you know what's coming. Ramsey was already fuming before even meeting Michel, and trust me, he had a scorching reason for it.
As a waitress, I don't get complaints about the food. The only complaint I might get is a food's cold.
Oh, the look on Michel's face alone made my internet bill feel like money well spent. And I know a lot of viewers would agree. Ramsey was in full destruction mode, and while he roasted Michel, the staff looked genuinely terrified.
Jane, I'm not asking you to blow smoke up his arsehole. I've just sat there for the last hour and had one of the worst meals I've ever eaten.
That's a matter of opinion.
Uh-oh, she really shouldn't have said that. I get it. It was her restaurant too, and yeah, Michel was terrifying, but at this point, she should have been way more afraid of Ramsey. Bad move. Very bad move.
All that fancy crap on there, and yet the glass is dirty. Ugh. God.
I know. You're all wondering what the hell even happened. Well, everything. The moment Ramsey set foot in that kitchen, chaos erupted like it was waiting for its grand entrance.
Invite my grand round for lunch. Could you not have got a bigger basket? I feel sorry for that poor, lonely bread roll in there. Let me just have a look at it before you serve it. Oh, Christ, I feel like...
Ramsey took one look around and probably wondered if he'd accidentally walked into a haunted museum. And then he dropped a line that had everyone dying.
Is the crab fresh?
No, it's canned.
It's canned. We'll can that one then.
Ramsey barely survived the bread fiasco before diving into the menu, which looked like it was written by an alien with a fine dining obsession. Michel's artisan vision, yeah, it worked, except for the tiny issue of the food being awful.
Main reason is because the restaurant is quiet. I buy fresh crab, goes bad really fast, so I have to buy this crab.
Oh, this was a disaster waiting to happen. Anyone who even remotely knows Ramsey knows his absolute hatred for tinned food. But Michel? Oh, he thought he could get away with it for a reason so ridiculous it could make you facepalm instantly.
Spinach salad with strawberries, goat's cheese, asparagus, hard-boiled egg, and grilled garlic shrimp. Strawberries and shrimps.
Ramsey scanned the menu, hoping to spot something remotely exciting. Well, he found something alright, but not in the way he wanted. Instead of being impressed, he was left completely baffled, questioning what kind of fever dream he had just walked into.
He's a customer. Customer is almost always right.
You really have to question a chef's entire understanding of food when he starts pairing strawberries with fresh garlic shrimp, because that sounds less like a dish and more like a tragic accident. Ramsey at this point was fearing for his sanity.
Dear God, for what we're about to receive, may the Lord not kill me with food poisoning. Oh, Jesus. That's disgusting.
Of course, it got sent right back to the kitchen. The prawns were stone cold and an absolute undercooked disaster. And instead of owning up to it, Michel took it as a personal attack. You already know how that went. Now, on to the next catastrophe.
big, dirty, greasy chip plate and like a big, overgrown ball of pubic hair.
Everything was fried beyond recognition, tougher than a leather boot. And the carrots? Ah, yes, the final touch. Chef's kiss of absolute failure.
God. Damn.
Raw carrot. Fine if you're a fucking rabbit.
A bit too much, even for a so-called passionate chef. Ramsay had no idea how to handle this guy. He had clueless disaster practically stamped across his forehead.
We've got a lot of work to do in a very short period of time.
Okay, let's
All I need is not some form of French arrogance. I just need your support.
This had to be the worst first impression an owner ever made, but Lisa was determined to give Michel a run for his money. Ramsay, already stunned that she owned a restaurant at her age, saw her as an underdog. He gave her the benefit of the doubt. Big mistake.
Haven't changed too much.
Oh, really? What, in 5 years?
Yeah, in 5 years.
So this is the same menu that was off the previous owners.
Ramsay, still holding onto a shred of grace, decided to trust her instincts. Maybe the restaurant was so flawless, it didn't need a single change, right? The menu, the decor, surely perfection. Lisa would know best. That's what I thought too, until her next revelation completely flipped the script.
What would you recommend?
This filet wrapped in pancetta, topped with a homemade balsamic reduction sauce. But I'm actually vegetarian.
Oh god, could she be any more clueless? The only real stake she had in this restaurant was her name on the ownership deed. Beyond that, her opinions held about as much weight as a crouton in a bowl of soup.
I still think it tastes good. Everything vegetarian, at least, I've tried, I love. So I think our food tastes great to me.
So yeah, Ramsay obviously didn't trust her opinion. Instead, he turned to the server and asked what they would recommend. Meanwhile, the staff scrambled to impress him, pulling out all the stops. Lisa though, shocking, but not really.
Funny how an owner's not even in the kitchen. He's had one mistake, two mistakes. She's just standing there, hanging out and chilling out.
It's driving me crazy.
While Lisa was busy letting Ramsay down, his first dish arrived, and surprise, surprise, it had been nuked in a microwave. A so-called baked eggplant roll stuffed with mozzarella. If that sounds unappetizing, trust me, it looked worse. The taste, completely unbearable.
Crunchy eggplant, undercooked. The eggplant's raw.
A tower of tuna? Because apparently stacking bad food makes it better? Ramsay took one look at it and already knew he was in for another disaster. The chefs, not even fazed. They had sent out worse.
Something's wrong, I can tell on his face.
It's so compressed it feels like it's been done 2 days ago.
Oh, but the next dish. Somehow, it managed to be even worse. And not just because of the taste. No, this one had a little extra surprise, the kind that makes you question every life choice that led you to this moment.
It doesn't taste fresh. It's grainy and it's furry.
Like he was gonna like some of our food. I know.
That's just gross.
The server swore up and down that it was fresh tuna, but Ramsay wasn't born yesterday. No way was he falling for that. Turns out, she wasn't lying, just completely clueless. Blindly trusting a kitchen that clearly had no standards.
He said that it tastes like frozen tuna.
It is frozen tuna.
I told him it was fresh.
Ramsay had finally reached his limit. Enough torture for one day. It was time to confront the disaster head on. That crispy eggplant? A crime against vegetables. But let's be real, this wasn't just the chef's fault. Lisa was just as guilty.
It is your restaurant that's on his ass cooking frozen pasta with a shit filling and frozen tuna. Two of the biggest insults.
But to Ramsay's surprise, the chefs weren't the masterminds behind this disaster. They were just following orders. The old terrible menu? Untouchable. Lisa had the final say, yet there she was, standing around, more clueless than ever. A true leadership masterpiece.
Who runs this restaurant? Who's in charge?
I'm in charge.
So you're giving them the permission to cook like this?
Ramsay was downright embarrassed after that disaster of a lunch. He saw the chefs had some potential, but Lisa? She was the anchor sinking the whole ship.
But you don't have the initiative to identify that that's shit. Why?
I didn't know.
So much for that business degree she kept bragging about. Turns out she completely ignored the most crucial part of running a restaurant. Impressive, but not in a good way.
No.
You don't need a degree to identify that crap. Trust me.
I think he's being a little overdramatic.
Overdramatic? Does she not know Ramsay? This was him being polite. The disaster unfolding would have triggered far worse. And it only spiraled when he found some seared tuna, not fresh, of course. You can already guess the outcome.
I don't know these things are going on unless someone tells me, and they haven't told me.
How long does it take to sear tuna on order? A few minutes, tops. But they had frozen tuna, cooked it, and then froze it again. Can you believe that? And Lisa, just overflowing with excuses as usual.
We can't sear tuna to order. That's why it doesn't taste good. Does that make business sense upstairs?
No,
or?
it doesn't.
She wasn't even lying. She genuinely had no clue what was happening. Did it make things better? Obviously not. This was her restaurant. She was the one who had to own up to the mess.
When was the last time you looked in this fridge?
I never really examined it.
No.
It wasn't just about the cooking, which we could excuse. After all, she was a vegetarian, so what did she know about cooked or uncooked tuna? But basic sanitation checks? That was a whole different ballgame, and she failed miserably.
How long ago do you think that was sliced?
I don't know.
Roughly.
A couple days.
A couple of days. It's like pastrami.
The amount of meat prep in that kitchen was unbelievable. Cut, cooked, and frozen. Every kind of meat, and it was downright disgusting.
You've been polite.
I think that Lisa doesn't know at all what's going on with the kitchen.
Lisa just stood there watching Ramsey uncover culinary sins in the kitchen, yet she still had no clue what was happening. The staff seemed to know more about the mess than she ever did.
I think it's really gummy. It's frozen. Yeah. Okay. Why would somebody want to make that?
But the show must go on. Ramsey launched the first dinner service to test the staff and see how Lisa managed them. Deep down, he knew what to expect, and of course, he got exactly that. Pure disappointment from the customers.
Right, kind of back, thank you. Kind of back, please. The chicken.
She's right. Gummy, she's been polite.
The dish was sent back to the kitchen, and Ramsey, realizing no one else had the guts to try it, took a bite. It wasn't just gummy, the lady had been polite. It was much worse. Inedible at best.
The food is far from fresh.
Meanwhile, outside, the customers were raving about the dishes. Nah, just kidding. Who in their right mind would like frozen meat? They were sending back every dish, while Lisa just stood there, helpless and completely clueless.
Stop! You! Stop! Everybody, stop!
As bad as it was about to get a whole lot worse. Ramsey stood at the hot window, tense and eyeing every dish being sent out, when suddenly he dropped a bombshell that left everyone in shock.
Oh my God.
That's disgusting. When was the last time this place was clean?
Was Ramsey done with the bad dishes being sent back? Sure, but that wasn't why he stopped everything. He noticed something that made his blood boil, and you could practically see the steam rising from him.
They should be cleaning every day.
But look! Just here. Just everywhere.
Disgusting.
Look at it. This is above.
Lisa was called forward, though honestly, I saw no point in that. She had no clue about what was going on, let alone knowing that a kitchen needs to be cleaned. Instead of taking responsibility, she just deflected.
Are you interested in being served dinner with that filth dripping in your food? Does anyone want to eat now?
It was right above where the dishes were stored, so every now and then, people got an extra dose of filthy seasoning. Ramsey stopped the service immediately. There was no way he was serving that. But shockingly, Lisa decided to think the exact opposite.
I don't think it really has affected or gone in the food. Like,
how do you know?
We have customers to serve right now.
Yeah, she still wanted the service to continue. How selfish can one be? Ramsey made it clear, one more dish goes out and he walks. But Lisa persisted, and that's when Ramsey decided to do something he'd never done before.
Are you interested in being served dinner with that filth dripping in your food? Does anyone want to eat now?
But if you think this was the filthiest kitchen Ramsey had ever stepped into, oh, you're in for a rude awakening. What's coming next is beyond your worst, most stomach-churning kitchen nightmares. Back at the Secret Garden, after that fiery showdown with Michelle, Ramsey took matters into his own hands, inspecting behind the scenes minus maniac Michelle.
Oh, bloody hell. Oh, when was the last time that was clean? Oh my God.
Just watching that gave me goosebumps. I was shocked. And wait, not just me, every single viewer was collectively horrified. How does Ramsey do this every damn time? The second he spots something even remotely dirty, especially the rotting kind, his first instinct, touch it every single time. And every time he does, our brains short circuit, our stomachs churn, and our sanity takes another hit. Doesn't yours? Or do you secretly find it satisfying? Let me know. Thank God he doesn't take it a step further, lick the mold, and dramatically scream, "Oh God, it's so moldy." That would be game over. After barely surviving the grease-soaked nightmare of a kitchen, Ramsey braved the storage room, and oh boy, here comes the deadly part. The second he stepped inside, a putrid stench smacked him in the face, strong enough to trigger instant regret and nausea.
My goodness me.
Mold everywhere.
The real horror in the storage had to be that cursed dessert tray. Just think, how long does something have to sit in a freezing storage to rot like that? Of course, Michelle had no words. But here, let's zoom in. Oh, absolutely disgusting.
The dark chocolate terrine and
That's
white
how
chocolate
you work?
bucket.
There's finger marks in there where someone's gone in with their hands. That's how you work.
The mold was everywhere. This wasn't food storage, it was basically a decomposition pit. Some ingredients had been sitting there so long they could probably file for residency. And the mold, oh, it had spread far beyond just the food.
Yeah, there's like mold caked on. This thing hasn't been cleaned for years.
One word, neglect. This storage hadn't seen a proper cleaning in years. While Ramsay was knee-deep in this horror show, guess what our delusional chef was up to? Oh, just carrying on like nothing was wrong.
Jesus Christ.
And now, oh, here comes the insane part. Ramsay, absolutely repulsed, fired off a million questions at Michelle. 7 years? That's how long this storage had been a festering wasteland. And Michelle's excuse? So ridiculously awful, you won't believe he even said it.
You don't care anymore, do you?
Is everything perfect? Even in your kitchen? I don't think so.
It's clean.
Oh, there's no way he actually compared his restaurant to Ramsay's, right? Nope, he really did. And to top it off, he claimed his place was doing better than Ramsay's. Oh, the viewers lost it. A simple glance at their net worths was enough to expose just how delusional Michelle was. Negative $300,000 versus $220 million. Ramsay didn't even argue. He just laughed. There he stood, draped in Michelin stars, being challenged by a guy whose greatest achievement was a mold-infested storage room and a dining area emptier than Michelle's grasp on reality. Absolutely hilarious. Oh, but Michelle's little delusion bubble was about to be popped in the worst way possible, because this disaster was far from over. What Ramsay found next was so revolting, so nightmare-inducing, you might just lose sleep over it.
Maggots. Oh, infested with the maggots. Oh, God.
This was it, the final straw. This place was beyond disgusting. It was so vile that even Ramsay, who had survived the worst of the worst, was completely repulsed. What happened next? Oh, you won't believe it. But even this horror show wasn't enough to shake Michelle. He was so lost in his own delusion that he acted like Ramsay had some personal vendetta against him. And then, oh boy, he said something so ridiculous, you won't believe it.
Insults me, tells me that he doesn't have to, his restaurant bullshit.
What he really wanted was for Ramsay to storm in, wave a magic wand, and suddenly fix everything for Michelle. But the showdown, oh, he was not prepared. Panicking, he started spinning lies, making the whole situation even more absurd.
It's been here that long, even the bottle's mouldy. The place is a health hazard. Mold is festering, so potentially dangerous in terms of poisoning someone.
A day before, he should have thought before speaking. Claiming it was clean months ago was an understatement. What Ramsay uncovered, it was clear, it hadn't been touched in 7 years. The truth hit harder than any lie he could have spun.
Every time I say something to you, all you do is smile at me. When are you going to get serious, Michelle?
I am serious.
Ramsay scraped mold from the walls and furniture, exposing the sheer horror of its growth. He was practically brave for risking a disease. But Michelle's reaction was an absolute spectacle, as if the world was falling apart around him.
I work for Thomas Keller. I know how the kitchen goes.
How long ago?
I work for Guy
Listen,
Clausen.
yeah,
Hey, let me give
Thomas Keller doesn't run a kitchen like this.
If he was truly serious, he wouldn't be cooking with that filth and serving it to customers. It was so bad, it looked like a twisted masterpiece of negligence. Instead, Michelle chose to get cocky, as if nothing was wrong.
For him to be humbled. Michelle was of the opinion that, hey, if I want to serve dog shit on a plate and the customer doesn't like it.
Thomas Keller, mentioning his name only exacerbated the disaster. Keller's one of the finest chefs in the country, and I can't even begin to imagine the cringe he must have felt watching this guy tarnish his name in this mess.
He's not doing that bad, okay? I make decent money.
How much money have you made in 7 years?
How much money have I made where?
In the restaurant in 7 years.
Ramsay wasn't having it, while the staff wore expressions of pure satisfaction, as if reveling in his downfall. Michelle, however, clung to his defense, so fixated on it that he practically sealed his fate with the next words. Words out of his mouth.
How much money have you made in 7 years?
Sorry, it's a big question. You need to make it smaller.
Oh, Michelle, brilliant move, pretending you didn't hear it. But if he thought Ramsay would let him waltz away after such an absurd claim, he couldn't have been more mistaken. There was no escaping this, though he sure tried his hardest.
Your help. I want your help, but, I want good help.
Don't dare start lecturing me what you want me to tell you.
He had no answers, just a pathetic attempt to hide from Ramsey, who was moments away from storming out. Realizing his BS had run its course, Michelle tried to smooth things over, but even that felt like a desperate, tone-deaf attempt to save face.
Can I have a potato bisque, please?
Yeah, it'll take a couple minutes. We need to cook it.
The food all takes too long to cook. So when I take my order, it'll be at least 25 minutes before it's on the table.
He actually had the audacity to lecture Ramsey on how to help him, as if he knew better. After forcing him to clean the kitchen, Ramsey dove straight into dinner service to see his skills firsthand, and sure enough, the first order revealed a glaring problem.
My belief is, it's nice to sit down and enjoy yourself, spend 2-3 hours in a restaurant.
The menu was so complicated, it was taking forever. Did Michelle notice? Of course. Did he see it as a problem? Absolutely not. If you think so, you clearly don't know this guy. He was deep in his own delusional world.
You're fascinated by crusted items and stuffing things, aren't you?
Ramsey finally cracked his cooking style, but Michelle denied it with a single breath, as if on a covert mission to reject everything Ramsey said. Nothing, not even the truth, could pierce his stubborn deflection.
Academia nut, maï,
Crusted,
the scallops,
crusted,
I have the chili garlic crusted salmon.
crusted.
Ramsey knew he couldn't let Michelle's nonsense slide, so he laid the menu out, breaking it down piece by piece, determined to crack through his bulletproof arrogance and force some clarity into that stubborn mind.
Customers. A little on the stale side, but customers nonetheless. What the hell kind of puny appetizer is that?
As Ramsey tried to untangle Michelle's overly complicated dishes, the customers began pouring in. And there was one type of crowd in particular, hungry and with no time for waiting around for these absurdly complex meals.
What is that, Michelle?
This is a canapé.
Canapé.
Yes.
I had to grab my glasses just to see that tiny appetizer. Ramsey took it back to the kitchen, desperately trying to make sense of it. And what he found? So absurd, you wouldn't believe it if I told you.
This is a canapé.
Canapé.
Yes.
Strawberries aren't even ripe then.
We've been doing it for a while. People love it.
People love it. What people? The restaurant could barely attract customers, and the few that did would eat a peanut and praise it. Michelle was the ultimate embodiment of self-love, while Ramsey sank deeper into despair just watching him.
Matter of opinion. Nobody likes everything everybody does.
Go free. Oh dear, it's gonna be a long night.
This guy was so self-absorbed, he was single-handedly sinking the restaurant. Even his sous chefs outshined him, but none of that ever made it to the show, thanks to Michelle's constant overshadowing.
Michelle wants to be the star of the show.
Let me worry about it, please.
Understood, chef.
I could have been doing so much more, but Michelle wouldn't let me.
He didn't just want to be a star in the kitchen, mid-cooking, he actually walked out to do a meet and greet, as if he were some celebrity chef. And you wouldn't believe how fast his mood flipped.
I think I know the guy that sells that wine.
Michelle does tend to talk an awful lot.
I have a glass of wine waiting for me.
Is this the same guy from the kitchen? Hard to believe, considering how drastically his behavior in the kitchen contrasted with this sudden, strange shift.
Don't care. Serve that.
Michelle was just like glaring at me all damn day. And I didn't deserve it.
Jane, you know what? Save your words.
After so many nights spent revamping the menu and the restaurant, Ramsey was almost done with his work. You'd think this guy might be grateful, but nope. He was there to prove you wrong at every turn, every second.
Is he the great cook? No, I was voted best chef in Conejo Valley.
And that's a wrap on the Kitchen Nightmares owners who really messed up their careers. From refusing to listen to Gordon Ramsay to running their businesses into the ground, these owners are legends for all the wrong reasons. Which owner's downfall had you shaking your head the most? Let me know in the comments. And if you loved watching these career train wrecks, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more Ramsay-fueled chaos. And if you think this was bad, wait until you see the next video right here. You won't believe how it ends.
You can't chase revenue.
Let me finish.
Guys, can you just give me 2 minutes, please? Please?